bro.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done on earth
thy will be done in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory forever.
and the glory forever.
In Jesus' name,
In Jesus' name.
amen.
Amen. All right, all right. Okay, let's get it cracking. Jeez. We are live for Q&A. Just do a quick sound check, make sure we sound decent. We should. We are live for Q&A. Yep, we good. All right. So, we have any questions? You are now free to ask your questions if you have any. The floor is open. We'll take questions from in-house. We'll take questions from online.
I'm still here.
Yes, sir. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. Dang it, this thing popped off. There we go.
This question is concerning bodily discharges.
Oh. Okay. Like.
No, that's it. That's something I was saying.
Yeah, okay. This is concerning body discharges.
Okay.
So, how does this work between a husband and a wife? Does sheets have to be changed after every encounter? How does that work?
Okay. So that question pertains to the cleanliness laws, right? So let's read about it,
Go ahead.
and then yeah, we can make it quick. Let's go back to Leviticus, I believe the 15th chapter, and let's take a look at what Brother Obadiah is even talking about. Let's see what he's talking about.
Because that's a lot of sheet changing.
Right. Oh yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of everything changing. It's a lot of
I don't know how
it's a lot of uncleanness.
That would make, if it's what I think it is, I would have some problems like just getting involved with my wife. I got to change the sheets every time. You know, that's a lot.
Yeah, and changing the
anything that's tough, you got to change everything.
Right. That's what I was.
Yeah, we about to read it.
Yeah, I was about to get into all of that. It's definitely even more than what you're saying, which is a lot, but we're going to see why the Lord implemented all of that in the first place. Because we dealt with this not too long ago, right?
Yep.
All right, so Leviticus 15, bro. Oh, yeah, just let us know when you're there, Brother Obadiah. And, you know what? Let me see. So
15 and
we can start at verse 1. So, my brother, when you ready, you can go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man have a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue, he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue. Whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness.
Okay, right. So that is unclean, brothers and sisters. That's what we're talking about. We're not saying that you are in sin. That's not what it's saying. It's saying you are unclean. Right. All right, so keep going.
Every bed whereon he lieth that have the issue is unclean. and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean.
Like you were saying, right? Okay, go ahead.
And whatsoever toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And he that sitteth on anything whereon he sat, that have the issue, shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even.
Right.
And he that touches the flesh of him that have the issue shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even.
Okay, so we see what's going on with the man. Now let's skip down to verse 18, and we're going to see also that these are bodily issues and fluids and stuff like that as well. Verse 18, go ahead.
The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the even.
Right.
And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever touches her shall be unclean until the even. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean.
Okay, so we see what has to happen. These things were unclean, and like Brother Obadiah said, they will have to be washed. The woman and the man will have to bathe, right? And they'll be unclean until the even. So the question is, how does this still apply today? Is this what you do today? The question is, the answer is no. We do not abide and cannot abide by the cleanliness laws today in this defiled country, in these defiled communities, in these defiled cities that we live in, where nobody's even thinking about these laws.
Yep.
Because it don't just apply to you and your wife, it applies to anybody you come in contact with. For example, what about having contact with somebody that's touched a dead body or been on a graveyard? How do you know if you don't know? And let's actually figure out what the Lord had in place to be clean in this situation. Let's go to Numbers. Yes, sir.
Now, here's another thing. Since we're talking about what God requires of you as being clean.
Yeah.
Well, just getting in water does not get you clean. Now, they didn't have soap, real soap, until the Moors came along to make it. You know.
Well, we had soap back here.
They had it was soap. They had things that smelled
like perfume and ointments.
That wasn't soap.
No, that wasn't. But frankincense and myrrh. And myrrh, they had ointments, and they had incense, and they had things that smelled good. But let's also show you that there is soap. Go to the book of Jeremiah. I want to show you soap, and then we'll go to come back to Numbers. Right, exactly. Jeremiah 2. Jeremiah 2. No rush. Jeremiah 2 and verse 20. You can pick it up at 21.
Yet I had planted thee a noble vine, holy a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
Man, okay, so we are a strange vine unto the Lord because we're supposed to be the Lord's vineyard, right? But we turned away from the Lord.
We did.
After having all of this truth. That's why he called you a degenerate plant. Right. Now look at verse 22. What it say?
For though thou wash thee with nitrate.
Okay, wait. With niter. With niter. Let's look. I'm going to look that up to see what niter is real quick on this Strong's dictionary. This is. Is that what that is? It says so-called from effervescing with acid.
That's lye.
Okay, good. Okay, so carbonate of soda, natron. Okay, cool. So that's what that is. And then, go ahead, bro.
For though thou wash thee with niter, and take thee much soap.
Oh, you take much soap.
Yet thine iniquity is marked before me, saith the Lord.
So he's saying you, cause you focusing on the outside, just like the Pharisees with their outside look great.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like whitened sepulchres, just like you use soap to get clean, right? So on the outside, you worried about the outside. This is the spirit of the Pharisees all the way back here. Cause you trying to look good. You know how Israel like to get so fresh and so clean.
Right.
You know, physically, and when we dress and we like to look nice, and nothing wrong with that, of course.
Right. Facts.
The smell good, with
Right.
all the smell good, we love that, right? But we need to know that it's deeper than the outward appearance. We need to be pleasing God. So I just wanted to show soap over there because that verse always stuck out to me. So now let's go back to Numbers 19. He's about to say 17. What's in 17?
That's what we left off at.
17.
I'm sorry, we left off at 16.
Oh, wait, no, because we was in Leviticus at first.
Yeah, that's right.
So Numbers.
back, yeah.
It's okay.
Numbers 19,
So we go into
yeah.
Numbers 19, and I want to show you the method of things, the water of purification that was needed for when a man or woman became unclean. And I'm going to show you we don't have this no more because we're not in our land. This is what makes the cleanliness laws null and void. All right? Yeah. Yep. So let's go ahead, bro. Pick it up at verse 1.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke. And ye shall give her unto Eleazar the priest, that he may bring her forth without the camp, and one shall slay her before his face. And Eleazar the priest shall take of her blood with his finger and sprinkle of her blood directly before the tabernacle of the congregation.
Okay, now let's understand this cleanliness laws. This was to keep, because the Lord is a holy God. This was to keep everything clean before the Lord and everything holy before the Lord, before his sanctuary. That's why he had the cleanliness laws in place in the first place, right? Because he didn't want anything defiled coming near him. Just like, remember when he told them before he came down on the Mount Sinai to wash their clothes and to make sure they're clean the third day? Well, that's how the Lord is. He's holy, and he don't want nothing defiled amongst him. So that's why we have the cleanliness laws to begin with. All right, I just want to make that clear. We talking about the sanctuary. But if you think about it, we don't have the sanctuary no more.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't have the holy land no more.
Right.
We in the defiled land. So those holy cleanliness laws, it can't be put in effect because everything around us is unclean.
Facts.
Go ahead.
5. And one shall burn the heifer in his sight, her skin and her flesh and her blood, with her dung shall he burn.
Right. So, and it's just like when a woman is on her monthly. We're not going to tell a woman that she can't come to the feast, or she can't come to class, or she can't, get baptized or whatever like that. We're not going to do that because we know that it's possible for all of us to have been in contact with something unclean throughout the week.
Man, facts.
The day before you came to class, when you went to the store, all them people that don't even know about God's laws, everybody's unclean, brothers and sisters. So you don't even have, first of all, you don't have a red heifer, and you can't make up your own way of cleanliness. You can't say, well, we're going to do it this way, and therefore I'm clean now.
Right.
No, you have to do it the Lord's way.
Right.
If you don't do it the Lord's way, you're not doing it right. So you can't make up something for it, right? What did you need though, bro? Keep reading.
Then the priest shall wash his clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in water. And afterward he shall come into the camp, and the priest shall be unclean until the 7th. Until the evening, I'm sorry.
Until the evening. Now, so what do you have to do? Verse 9.
And a man that is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer, and lay them up without the camp in a clean place. And it should be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for a water of separation.
A water of separation. Do we have this water of separation today?
No,
so how can we use it to purify ourselves? We can't. Go ahead.
It is a purification for sin.
See?
We do not have
We don't have the purification for sin. Go ahead.
And he that gathereth the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes, and be unclean unto the even. And it shall be unto the children of Israel, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among them for a statute forever.
A statute for how long?
Forever.
But really, some things only last until it can't last no more. You see what I'm saying?
That right.
Something, he'll say forever about some things, but he just means until that time is up. All right. So go ahead.
He that touches the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days.
Look at that, 7 days. So how do you know, it's 7 days in a week. How do you know you have not come across somebody who's touched the, and you shake their hand,
Yep.
they could have gave you your money back,
Yep.
right?
Everything.
They could have touched the door that you touched.
Yep.
So it is no way around it. I'm gonna show you, yes.
So, okay, now, after hearing that, let's say you're at a funeral home and, well, not me, let's say a woman's at a funeral home and her husband just died and she's in the Word and she actually goes and hugs her husband and says, now that's a sin. You do it on purpose.
You asking?
Yes. Question. Just a question.
So would it be a sin for her to hug her deceased husband?
Or the penalty, whatever the penalty is for touching the dead body.
It's just uncleanness.
Unclean.
She'd be
sin. You just unclean.
right,
Or wash yourself.
right,
That's it.
right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You would have to be. You would be unclean for however many days. We just saw right here 7 days.
Right.
You know that would be the case, and it's still the case now. It's just that we don't have the tools, and we're not in the Holy Land to actually execute it. So let's look at that aspect. Let's look at the fact that everything's defiled. Let's look at that. Let's go to Isaiah 24. And we're going to go to a few places after that. And that'll be it. Because brothers and sisters, you know what's another example of uncleanness? We're going to look at after this, the dietary law.
Man.
Think about that. Think about our grocery stores and how everything we eat is defiled.
Yep,
we're going to look
They
at
put the ham on one.
next to the to the turkey right next to it.
Same
On the same aisle.
Yeah.
Like that touching. Like that.
Deli when they cut it.
Right. Even when they cut it. Right.
Yep. Same slicing
Same scale.
machine.
Yeah. You go
Clean the scale.
Right.
Okay, well I gotta clean the scale because it's ham.
and you supposed to
Right.
actually take that utensil and toss it.
Yep.
You're not even supposed to. You can't even clean it. Just like if he
Bro.
told you if you had an oven,
look.
you're supposed to break down that
Yeah.
oven. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. With how many restaurants we go to where they cooking, shrimp and the same
Come
thing
on.
they making your stir-fried chicken in.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And what can we do
Right,
about that?
right.
Nothing. Don't go there and eat.
And it's right. Well, you can try to grow you can do the best that you can, but eventually we're gonna run into this issue, whether we like it or not. And this is why. Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24. Babies.
That's what I
It's
thought.
babies
It's a
back
baby
there?
right there.
24.
It's definitely babies back there.
What, outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, outside. They got couches and everything outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice out there.
No, I'm talking about on the gravel.
Yes.
Excuse me. They putting them a bunch of.
Oh, more stuff. Oh, because they got an event tomorrow. They got a event with all the members of this shared
door.
space.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Zion.
24 what?
Go somewhere, man. Go back there. Chill out, man. Mommy coming back. He waiting for mommy. Isaiah 24. And we gonna start at what was that?
Somebody else is back there. Something on their phone.
Oh. Isaiah 24 and pick it up at verse 1. Let's go.
Behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest. As with the servant, so with his master. As with the maid, so with her mistress. As with the buyer, so with the seller. As with the lender, so with the borrower. As with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land should be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord hath spoken this
This is
word.
how we know it's only gonna be a few people that get salvation, brothers and sisters. Because this whole world is reprobate and hates God. Go ahead.
The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish.
Okay, now let's take a look at the state of the world, period. Because remember, we're not in the Holy Land anymore. We're not in the Holy Mountain.
Nope.
There's no sanctuary where we were supposed to practice the cleanliness laws to keep the sanctuary clean. That's what that was about. Go ahead.
The earth also is defiled.
The whole earth is defiled. So how can you be clean? How can you enforce cleanliness laws when the whole earth is defiled?
Right.
See, Israel was supposed to be sanctified, separate, set apart from the world. That's what made us special. That's what the laws gave us in the first place. But now that we're not in that special place, being sanctified from the world, how can you enforce this sanctity? How do you enforce this cleanliness? You can't. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. Because what, bro?
Because they have transgressed the law.
Stop. How many people are even thinking about these laws right now? Being clean in general.
Right.
Who's thinking about that?
Really?
Who knows it?
Right.
The world don't know. That's why the earth mourneth and faded away. The world languishes and faded away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. That was verse 4. Read verse 5 again, bro.
The earth also was defiled under the inhabitants
Defiled.
thereof.
That's what happens when you're unclean. You're defiled. Go ahead. That's what the water of separation was for. That's why it's even called separation. But we can't separate from anything. The woman can't go out of the camp when she's on her woman time, her flowers, as the Bible calls it. She can't do that.
Right.
There's nowhere for her to separate that's going to be clean. And then there's no sanctuary for it to matter in the first place. But go ahead.
Because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant.
Therefore what, bruh?
Therefore have the curse devoured the earth,
Man.
and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and a few men left.
Man, let's go to two more places, and that'll be it. Just a real a summary version. Hosea. Let's look at Hosea. Hosea 9, and then we're going to go to Ezekiel, and that's it. Actually, that might not be it, actually. Hosea 9, we're going to start at verse 1 when we get there. Actually, that's not going to be it. We're going to go to Revelation after. We got 3 more spots. Hosea 9, bro, and pick this thing up at verse 1. So we all know we're supposed to, here's an example of cleanliness. We all know we're supposed to strive to keep the dietary law. But let's see the state of Israel's condition and the state of the world. How possible is it going to be for us to be 100% clean? Eat 100% clean. Let's look at it. Hosea 9 and 1. Go ahead.
Rejoice not, O Israel, for joy as other people.
Yeah, Israel loved turning up. The Lord's like, no, you need to turn down and turn back to me. Go ahead.
For thou hast gone a whoring from thy God. Thou hast loved a reward upon every corn floor.
Wow.
The floor and the winepress shall not feed them.
Wow.
And the new wine shall fail in her. They shall not dwell.
Okay, wait. We are in captivity, correct?
Yes.
Like I said, we're not in the Holy Land no more, right? Read verse 3 from the top.
They shall not dwell in the Lord's land.
Oh, we're not in the Lord's land. Where the Lord's tabernacle was, and the Lord's temple was, and the Lord's sanctuary was. We're not there. But what?
But Ephraim shall return to Egypt.
Remember, the Lord in Deuteronomy said we will go into Egypt again with ships.
He did.
Return to Egypt.
Right.
Go ahead.
And they shall eat unclean things in Assyria.
Unclean things in Assyria. So even when you striving to be clean and holy, because we're in captivity, because we're defiled, it's going to be impossible to do it 100% right. Ezekiel 4.
Ezekiel 4.
All you can do is do the best you can, though. That's why we're going to end it off in Revelation. Because there's a verse in the New Testament that speaks to laws that cannot no longer be kept. We'll talk about it when we get there. Ezekiel 4, bro, and pick it up at 14. We're going to jump around.
Then said I, O Lord God, behold, my soul have not been polluted.
Look at that.
For from my youth up, even till now, have I not eaten of that which died for itself, or is torn to pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth.
So the Lord obviously wanted him to do that. Like he told Peter, rise, Peter, kill and eat. And Peter was like, not so, Lord.
Right.
Same thing right here. All servants of God understood the importance of the dietary law. But let's also understand the importance of what's about to take place to Israel. Kicked out their land. Go up to verse 12 and read 12 and 13. Let's see.
And thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that cometh out of a man in their sight. And the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel.
The children of Israel, that means the whole nation.
Yes.
What?
Eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles.
Defiled bread, bruh. Unclean bread. Everything has pork derivatives and gelatin, and then it's in a place, an unclean facility, right? You can't go nowhere without bumping into unclean food. That's what, because the Lord can't lie. Because the earth is defiled, brothers and sisters. So we cannot enforce these cleanliness laws. We cannot. It's impossible. The whole earth's defiled. All right, that's just the point. Let's go to Revelation to finish it off. Because I don't want you to think that it don't matter. That's it, 22. Revelation 22. And bro, we need to understand here is that even though we can't keep the physical cleanliness laws to the best of our ability, because you know, unclean and clean food is a part of the cleanliness laws. So you got to take that all into consideration. That's why we don't inject, that's why we can't take these vaccines. That's making us unclean.
Right.
Lord don't want that. So, but I thought you just said, Josh, well, you can't be completely clean. No, you can't be completely clean physically by default. We don't have control over that. Right. But you do have control over the spiritual things you can do. You can try your best to be clean spiritually, and that's what the Lord expects for us to do. Okay? So actually, before we hit Revelation 22, I think we want Revelation 2. Let me see something. Well, it's either Revelation 2 or 3. Revelation 3, real quick. Hold your spot in Revelation 22. Let's go to Revelation 3. I want you to see something. Because some things don't always last, brothers and sisters. I'll give you an example. Going up to Jerusalem for the feast. We cannot do that, even though that was a required commandment by God for all men forever, right? But we can't do that. So what do? Do you not do anything? Because you got some Hebrews that say, oh, you can't keep the Sabbath and the feast in your enemy's land. But we know that's bogus. Revelation 3 and 2, let's read it.
Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain.
Stop. Strengthen the things which remain, because some things are not going to always remain. Stuff like the cleanliness laws. The cleanliness laws cannot by default remain, because the world is defiled and Israel is dwelling with defiled nations that don't know God. That's why he said be watchful and strengthen the things that remain. I can't go up to Jerusalem no more because I'm in captivity, but I can still strengthen what remains. I can do my best here, right? I can't get clean food that's completely clean from the supermarket, but I can strengthen the things that remain and check the ingredients.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what he means by that. Strengthen the things which remain, because some things don't last forever. Go ahead.
That are ready to die.
And he's talking about things that can no longer exist. And this is what we're talking about. Go ahead.
For I have not found thy works perfect before God.
See, these are people that's like, oh, whatever. I can't do it, so I'm not going to do nothing. I can't do it like the Lord said, so I'm not going to keep the Sabbath in captivity. Now you breaking the Sabbath.
Right.
Going to work on the Sabbath when you could have strengthened the things that remain. That's like saying, oh, I'm gonna just go to Red Lobster every night because everything's unclean.
Right.
It's the defiled bread, so I might as well just eat
Yeah.
defiled. That's the type of people he's talking about. So let's go to Revelation 22, and this will be it. Because the Lord wants you to do your best spiritually, even if you can't do it physically. That's the point. Revelation 22, and bro, pick it up at verse 10. 22 and 10. This is what I meant. Let's go.
And he said unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. He that is unjust, let him be unjust.
Look at this. Look at this. So even if we can't do physical things, brothers and sisters, we can still strive to do spiritual things. We can't always do everything, right? Because look, he said, he that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And what else?
And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still.
Let him be filthy still. But you can still strive, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still.
See, and we do this by repenting. You do that by repenting. Even if you can't do it all the way, you still repent. Go ahead.
And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments.
See, you do the commandments, but you do what remains to the best of your ability. Go ahead.
That they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
Make it love and make it a lie. So that's what I got on that. That's a short version though.
I have another question. I gotta be home before it gets dark.
Okay.
I just got shot in our parking lot.
What?
All the time I'm on edge.
Man.
I have to be in the house before it gets dark. But anyway,
I hear you.
Hosea
Okay.
9:1-5. It talks about women. That's what I'm going to say.
That's because that's what we was just reading.
And it talks about your spouse leaving you.
Oh, let's look at it. Let's look at it. You said Hosea who? 9. You can start reading, bro. 1-5.
1-5.
Okay.
1 and 5. Which one is it?
Well, we just,
No, that's talking about the feast.
yeah, we just ate. We just read this.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got the wrong scripture. Hold on. I wrote this stuff down.
I think I know what you're talking about in
Okay,
Hosea.
Here's the other part of it. Here's the other part of it. Where it says if your spouse leaves you, and then in 1 Corinthians 7:15 it says that you're not under bondage. You're not under bondage. That means that if your spouse leaves you, then that doesn't hold you to any agreement. Then you can get married again. You're not held under bondage. You tell me what the scripture is saying.
So in 1 Corinthians 7 or somewhere else?
No, 1 Corinthians, wherever else, that's wherever else you think that you can find it. But 1 Corinthians 7:15 is where I found the scripture.
Right.
That you are not under bondage.
Right.
For if your wife leaves you.
Right. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it.
Right.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
That means you're not held to.
Yeah, if a woman leaves, then that's on her.
Right. And the other spouse or the man leaves, either one. I'm just trying to make sure that's what that means.
Okay, right. All right, so let's look at it. Let's look at it.
1 Corinthians 7. No, 1 Corinthians 7:15.
It is 7. Yeah, it is 7. So let's look at it and get the understanding. Sometimes you gotta just read into it. Yeah. So let's start at verse 1. We're not gonna read the whole thing, but let's start at verse 1.
Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me,
Who's that?
it is good for a man not to touch a woman.
Oh, okay. Right, go ahead.
Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife.
Okay.
Let every woman have her own husband.
So that is the objective. So there won't be fornication out here. Because it's better to marry than to what?
Burn.
Than to burn. Burn, baby, burn.
Right.
All right? So now, since we know that, what do we need to do? Skip down to verse 8. Go ahead.
I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry.
Let them marry. Why?
For it is better to marry than to burn.
Right. That's the whole point. So he was like, look, if anybody can stay, right, if anybody could stay single and just focus on serving the Lord, that's the best thing you can do. If you can. It's not for everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
God says it's better to marry.
Right. It's better to marry than to burn, because if you can't contain. Some people can contain. Some people are okay being by themselves. And that's the best thing, because you don't have to worry about pleasing somebody else. Right? You don't have to worry about, you just have to worry about you and serving the Lord. That's easier. But verse 10.
And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband.
Let not the wife depart from her husband. A woman is not supposed to leave a man. They're supposed to be together till death.
So by saying, let not the wife and or the husband, but it's not saying that.
Yeah, it's saying let not the wife depart from her husband. That's what it's saying.
The wife.
Yeah, but we're going to get to the man. Let's go. Yeah.
But then if she depart, let her remain unmarried.
Okay, and this is the issue for women, right? Because some women act like they want to leave. They don't have a legal right to divorce. So if they do that, they putting themselves in more jeopardy. So the only options a woman does have is to remain unmarried or to do what, bro? If she departs, because she's not supposed to depart. If she departs, she's still married.
But she can come back.
Yeah, that's what we're about to read.
Right.
Go ahead.
Or be reconciled to her husband.
Be reconciled to her husband. So it's nothing wrong with a separation for a short time, and then you come back if you need that space, because you're trying to work it out. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. But a woman shouldn't be leaving in the first place. That's what we see, right?
Yep.
Go ahead.
And let not the husband put away his wife.
And let not the woman put away his wife. Go ahead. It's the same. So he has a responsibility too. Because again, y'all supposed to be one. You're not supposed to be trying to put her away.
So when it's saying let not the husband divorce his wife, now is that what it says about the woman? Let not the woman divorce her husband?
Nah, woman.
It doesn't say that.
It don't say that, and it didn't say divorce right here either.
Right.
It said
divorce up on 11.
nah.
A husband is not to divorce his wife.
Huh?
You don't read that?
What verse?
No,
What
not
verse?
11.
This is
He may have a different
11. This is 7:11. At the end of 11, that's part of it.
Are you reading the King James or an NIV?
I'm reading the King James. This is the old Bible from 40 years ago.
Oh yeah.
It says New King James Version.
Awesome. That's the new one.
Oh, it's a New
New
King James.
is different from King James.
Right.
That's fine.
That's why you see divorce. I have a King James and it doesn't say divorce.
Yeah, ours doesn't either.
I never.
Yeah.
The New King James. I thought it was just the King James, but the new and not the new is two different things.
Yeah. Yep.
These people, man, in the Bible.
Yeah.
Tricking you any kind of way they can.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, my brother.
You need the old King James.
Right.
So verse 13.
And the woman which have an husband that believe not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
Look at that. That's how important staying together really is. That's how much the Lord hates putting away and divorce, brothers and sisters. Because those two are supposed to be, those twain supposed to be one. Go ahead.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy.
Yeah, that's the benefit of you enduring in a marriage, even with an unbeliever.
One of the kids down there.
Go ahead.
Sweet.
Go ahead, bro.
But if the unbelieving
So
depart,
verse 15, go ahead.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. This is the context of the word bondage. Because remember, it said, hey, if a believer has an unbeliever that's pleased to dwell with them, let them stay together because, hey, the Lord wants you to make it work. Your union is supposed to be until death do you part. Just like that's the mystery between Christ's relationship in the church. We're supposed to serve God and be submitted to God until we die. Right? So marriage is the same type of way. We're married to the Lord. A woman is married to a man. That man is supposed to provide for that woman first, and that woman is supposed to submit. That's how it works. That man is supposed to have purpose. That woman is supposed to help him fulfill that purpose, a help meet for him. And that's supposed to be something that lasts, brothers and sisters, not something that messes up. But we know life can get messy though. So that's why we read in verse 15 again. Go ahead from the top.
But if the unbelieving depart,
If the unbelieving depart, let him depart.
Or her.
Or her. Because this is a person. Because this is why you know it's or her. Read it.
A brother or sister.
A brother or a sister. So that's how you know. Go ahead.
Is not under bondage in such cases.
But what?
But God have called us to peace.
God has called us to peace. So that's what that's talking about.
Yeah, it's not under bondage.
If the unbelieving departs.
Right.
But
what does that mean?
So
unbelieving depart.
If they depart because you are a believer, therefore you're serving God, and they're upset at the fact that you serve God, and you guys can't coexist. There's no peace. It's just straight chaos.
Right.
That's why he said, look, what's the last thing he said after such cases in 15?
But God have called us to peace.
God had called us to peace. Because you know eventually you're going to clash.
Yeah.
Eventually it could be a war between two people that's supposed to love each other, but the Lord knows how the word is a sharp sword, right, that causes variance.
Yeah. Facts.
He know that. Let's read that in Matthew 10 real quick. Just for flavor. Let's read that in Matthew 10. That's why he said this, because he already know when it comes to that spiritual, it's a different animal. Because remember, if you guys are working on the same page, if the woman depart, she's supposed to come back to her husband, or be reconciled. But he's like, look, if this unbeliever depart, that's a whole different ball game. Yeah.
So, and the husband's not under bondage.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Case closed. Yeah, that is case closed.
Not under bondage.
You can hit the gavel on that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Case closed.
Yeah. Case,
Right. Hit the menorahs.
Yeah.
Smash on.
case dismissed.
Yeah, case dismissed. The truth will set you free. Thank you, Jesus.
That's bars. That is bars. No longer under bondage. But let's look at it. Let's look at it in Matthew 10. So, Brother Obadiah, you good? You can make it home before dark.
Hopefully.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I gave it 10 minutes ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you definitely make it in that.
Pot and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, right.
The whole parking lot is lit. Cloud. When you pull up, it's a cloud.
It's like back in the day when the Lord used to follow us with the cloud, man.
Right.
But that's a different kind of.
Right. Yeah, we made that cloud too, though, didn't
It's like you said, I did not have sexual relations with them. Yeah, right.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know what you call sexual relations.
Yeah. And then he turned around and switched it up.
Oh, yeah. They both lying.
Yeah. Right.
Lying.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more question. Go ahead with that, the end of that.
Okay.
Maybe get the last one in.
Okay. Matthew 10. Pick it up at verse 34.
Think not that I am come to send peace on earth.
Talking about spiritually. Go ahead.
I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
So he knows it's going to be war.
Yeah.
That's why he said, look, for peace sake, you are not under bondage. Go ahead.
And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
Wow. So that could even be your spouse.
Yeah.
That's your house. Your spouse is in your house, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me.
Uh-huh.
And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
Right.
And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it.
Wow. And another place in Mark, it replaces father and mother with husband or wife, brothers and sisters. So that's the whole point. That's the whole reason the Lord understood spiritual warfare gets deep and gets dirty, and that's why he sends a variance. Y'all split. If the unbelieving depart, that don't mean you push her away intentionally, but it's if it's her choice or his choice. So what else you got, Brother Obadiah?
Go to Numbers 21 and 14.
Okay. Look at this.
You there?
Not yet. We get in there. We both on our way. Okay, go ahead. Numbers 21 and 15?
No,
14.
Numbers 21 and 14. It speaks about a book of wars.
Uh-huh.
What is they talking about? Book of wars.
Okay, let's read it. That's exactly what it's just like the other books, but go ahead and read it.
Wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, what he did in the Red Sea and in the brooks of Arnon.
Uh-huh. So just like the book of Exodus, you know how the Bible also says in Deuteronomy, I think 15, that the Lord is a man of war, right? And you saw what happened in Exodus when he went to war with Egypt and took down the greatest empire. Well, that was low-key a book of war, because he's talking about right here. I'm not saying the book of war is Exodus, but I'm saying that's an example of a book of war.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
something else.
No, it could be an actual book, because we don't have all the books in the Bible.
Nope.
We don't have every single book. So there could have been an actual book called the Book of War, but I'm just letting you know that we know that the Lord is a man of war. So it's not surprising. Yeah, it's not surprising. Yeah, the Book of the Wars.
I have some more, but I'll save it for another early out
Okay.
so I can get to them.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Appreciate your time.
Oh yeah, always. Appreciate you. Yep. Okay, looks like we got something.
Somebody else.
Yeah, we got something. Yeah, peace.
Take up all the time.
Peace, bro, and peace, water of life. We're gonna check you out. Let's see. Let's see what we got. And bro, can you check Facebook? Let me see. I'm gonna read these YouTube ones.
Peace.
Alright.
All right, Brother Obadiah, be safe.
Peace.
Next Sabbath, God's
Our
will.
Lord's
Lord
willing, for sure. And have a good week.
You as well.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so now we got Ro. Peace to you. She said, peace from NC. What's up? I understand a man can have multiple wives, but does this first wife have a choice to be alone if she isn't on board, or does she have no choice? Okay, that's a good question. And yeah, that is true. A man can have multiple wives biblically, but does the first wife have a choice to be alone if she isn't on board? Okay, that's a great question. And so it's the way I look at it, sis, is that you have to think about the culture and you have to think about the society that we're living in versus the society that this took place in. What I mean is this. Back then, okay, you turn it down.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it was nothing on there.
Okay, cool. So what I mean by that, sis, is the choice, all right? We got to think about and remember that back then, a woman would have far less say-so than she does today, because today, this is not the society that we live in, right? Is not ran by a patriarchy. As much as they try to say that it is,
For real.
it is not. Completely not. The Bible society was based on a patriarchy. And within that patriarchy, sis, you have to understand when it came to choice, a lot of women didn't have a choice in who they got married to begin with, let alone first wife, second wife, third wife. I'm saying even the first wife. Because remember, sis, a lot of times women were in arranged marriages. A lot of times the women had no choice over the say-so of her father because she was under her father. It wasn't like, oh, she 19 and she got her own apartment. It wasn't like that. Completely different landscape, right? So when you say choice, we have to understand that. We have to understand the history, right? That a lot of times the wife, it could be a spoil of war. The woman could be taken as a war captive because the men build society, the men go to war, and a lot of times the women were the spoils of war. We can read about that in Deuteronomy 25, I believe, right? Or 23. And you got to understand that. You got to understand the fact that fathers would have the final say-so on who their daughter marries, right? And then you have to take in mind that at that time in a real patriarchy, women were dependent on men because men were the actual providers of the household. The women took care of that. She helped in that matter. So, yes, choice can be there, but it wasn't the same as it is today. Choice can be there though, right? Because you see that, Jacob, even with Jacob and Rachel, right? Look at that. Laban had to give his daughter to Jacob because that was the agreement. Mm-hmm. But he could have said no. She could have wanted to, and he could have said no, right? So, but then you have instances where two people might just meet and that's what they choose to do. You know what I'm saying? But the father was involved. You know what I'm saying? So choice was there, but choice was limited. The choice was really on the men to decide. Because the man had to decide, do I want this woman? The father has to decide, do I want you to have this, my daughter? Because a woman went from the household of her father to the household of her husband. Mm. It wasn't no bouncing from house to house and shacking up, and it wasn't none of that. Because all of that's caused whoredom, complete whoredom, right? So now, to answer your question with a first wife, we have to look at the time that we living in, 2021, right? So yes, you are correct. It is a man's right, so to speak, in the sight of God. Society might have a problem with it, but we know what the Bible says. And the way I look at it, if a man is going to do that, then and that man wants to be on one accord with his wife, he wants to, make sure it's as, unified as possible, he's gonna take in consideration the voice and the opinion of his wife. Why wouldn't he? Unless he was, just trying to be a tyrant, You know, now that can have levels to it. It can have layers to it. But at the end of the day, you know, let's look at an example. Let's look at an example where a woman had choice in this situation. Because what a man wants to do, a man wants to strive to be on one accord with his woman. Mm-hmm. But then you got to know that there's a difference between not wanting something because it's not good for your husband, but not wanting something because you don't want it, you don't like it. There's a difference in that too, right? So Genesis. And who we going to look at? We're going to look at Abraham. We're going to look at Sarah. That's right. Yeah, brother said 24. That is correct. So, Genesis 24. And let's take a look at it. Let's start at verse 1. Let's go.
And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. Mm-hmm. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven, and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. But thou shalt go unto my country.
Oh no, wait. Let's actually go up. Let's actually go because that's not when Hagar comes into the picture, is it? So wait. We want to go to 21. That's where we want to go. We want to go to 21. All right. I think that's where we want to go. Let's see. Yeah, verse 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time at which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac.
Right.
And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, and God had commanded him. As God had commanded him.
Right.
And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, Who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned.
Okay. So we actually skipped. I'm sorry, y'all. We actually skipped. We was in front again. Now we going backwards. So now we got Hagar into the scene. Let's see how Hagar got into the scene. Go to chapter 16. And now this is where we wanted to start. So that's okay. It's like a movie. We kind of jumping back in time. All right. So now we at 16. Let's see how Hagar even got into the picture. All right, verse 1, go ahead.
Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children.
Okay, so now this is when she was barren. Go ahead.
And she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing, I pray thee, go in unto my maid.
Oh, so she's making the decision in this case. Yep. She's the first wife. Right? But this just goes to show how important childbearing was. Right? This was to protect the family structure. That's what people don't understand today. Go ahead.
It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't have a problem hearkening to that.
Facts.
Go ahead.
Right. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid the Egyptian, and Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
Her mistress was despised in her eyes. So she clearly, you know, a problem came out of that, but that's a personal problem.
Yep.
You choose to be envious.
Right.
You choose to be proudful. You choose, that's a choice. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? That's a choice. So in that case, right, she did what made sense. You know, she did what made sense to her. You know, now, so I would say any righteous man, he's going to consider his wife and what she thinks, right? If he doesn't, then that's not going to help them. That's not going to help them, because that could create, you know, let's say a woman can tear down a house. What if you choose a foolish woman, and now you didn't messed up your own house doing that? You know, because you didn't consider the opinion of your wife in that case. That's how I look at that. Does she have no choice? Well, at the end of the day, you know, again, if the man is righteous, I believe she should have a choice. You know, but most men, I don't think is even ready to have this conversation.
Man,
to be
facts,
honest,
bro. Come on.
A lot of dudes can't even handle one.
Yeah.
To be honest, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but if she isn't on board with it, that's something that they need to work out. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
If she isn't on board with anything the man does, you know, the book still says for the wife to obey in all things. It says what it says, right? Submit in all things. So really, it falls on the man. But if a man makes an unrighteous decision based on selfishness, not taking into consideration the wife, then the Lord is obviously going to see that, and that's not going to be good for that man. So you got to look at it for what it is, you know. So hopefully that helps. Let me see. Maybe I can find something on consideration. Let me see if I can find something on consideration. Let's see.
I like that water life question. I'm telling you.
Okay, I didn't see it yet, but we'll see. Actually, no, I got a place, a go-to place. Let's go to 1 Peter 3 and show you how a husband's supposed to deal with his wife. First Peter 3. Oh yeah, good look. 1 Peter 3. This is how a man should deal with his wife. 1 Peter 3 and verse 1. Go ahead.
Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands.
Oh wow, look at that. Just off the bat, right? Go ahead.
That if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wife.
Okay, so look at that. That means that a woman should even be humble when the husband's doing something she doesn't even agree with. Or not that she doesn't agree with it, but the Lord doesn't even agree with it. So imagine if she doesn't agree. You should keep the same mindset. Go ahead.
While they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. Whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or putting on of apparel.
That don't mean that you can't look nice and you can't put on earrings and you can't put on makeup and you can't do your hair. That don't mean that, because you got some extremist Christian groups that will say that it's a sin for a woman to put on makeup and wear a dress. That's not what that's saying. It's just saying don't let the outward appearance be the definition of who you are, like what you see today with Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. Don't let that define you, right? Like NDRE, I am not my hair type stuff. All right, skip down to verse 5 and let's see an example of it.
For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, being in subjection
To who?
unto their own husbands.
No. Let's say subjection to their girlfriends.
Being in subjection unto their own
Nah, I think
husbands.
you read that. I think it meant to say subjection
Being
to
in
her.
subjection unto their own husbands.
Okay, so not the government
husbands.
to get, you know what I'm saying, to get that assistance. Or not her employer, right, to get that bag. Because you got sisters that will do everything for that job, get worked to death by that job.
Wow.
And when it comes to a man, right, they want to be pampered, but don't know how to do the basic things of a wife or a mother. Right, but you know how to go from job to job and submit but you don't know how to submit to a man though, to your own husband. You want him to cater to you. That's backwards, brothers and sisters, and that's why there's a crisis. Like Brother Elisha has just recently did a series on the crisis of the family. This is why everything's out of whack. Let's look at the example they use, though. Go ahead.
6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as
Whoa, so we just looked at Sarah and Abraham. We just read about Sarah and Abraham. Look at that. Look at that. So that's an example of somebody who is a good wife and a good husband. And it said, calling him Lord. Oh, you welcome, sis. That's for sure. And I hope you're still listening, because I want to get to this point about where, you probably already know where I'm going with it, but I want to get to the point of how a man is supposed to, if he's going to be a righteous husband, he's going to always want to consider and deal righteously with his wife. Go ahead, keep reading. First, we see that Sarah was a good woman. Right? She was a righteous woman, a holy woman. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. Go ahead.
whose daughters ye are, and as long as ye do well,
Right.
and are not afraid with any amazement.
Wow, look at that. And she didn't have a problem with her husband having another woman. So that means it couldn't have been wrong. So the sister knows that it's right, because the Bible is saying that that's not a problem. People try to say that it's, I'm saying that because not to push anything, but people say that it's a sin and don't know what they're talking about. How could that be a sin, as in a man having more than one wife? How could that be a sin if Sarah initiated it and is called a holy woman?
Right.
That wouldn't add up. That wouldn't make sense. She wouldn't be an example of a holy woman if she was doing unholy things. So we just need to understand the Bible in this context, but go ahead.
Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge.
Oh, dwell with your woman, your wife, your boo, according to knowledge. So if you're going to do the right thing, you're going to do that. Go ahead.
Giving honor unto the wife.
So if you honor your wife's decision, if you honor what your wife thinks, then you're going to do the right thing. You're going to be like, all right, what do you think?
Right.
How can we work this out? That's the right way to do it. Go ahead.
As unto the weaker vessel.
As unto the weaker vessel, because you understand how, how much more sensitive your wife is than you are. So you're going to deal with the situation in knowledge. Go ahead.
And as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
That your prayers be not hindered. And you need to be on one accord. All right? So your prayers are not hindered. See, if that man wants to do evil, he wants to go, he don't want to tell his wife. He don't even want to tell his wife, let alone try to work it out and try to see what she says. But he don't even want to tell his wife. He's going to go behind her back and get a dude. You think the Lord is like okay in that?
No.
Nah. Your prayer is going to be hindered. Finally, verse 8, go ahead.
Finally, be ye all of one mind.
Be of one mind. How do you do that if you're going behind her back?
Right.
Or how does a woman do that if she's going behind her husband's back? You're not on one mind. You got your own mind. One track minded. Go ahead.
Finally, be ye all of one mind. Having compassion one of another.
Right.
Love as brethren. Be pitiful, be courteous.
Wow, love as brethren. And the brethren's supposed to love their neighbor as themselves. So you should be able to talk to your wife about anything.
Facts.
You shouldn't be able to you shouldn't have to try to hide anything from your wife, and vice versa. Vice versa. Be honest. Be honest. That's what needs to happen. We need honesty. Okay? So I hope that helps. She already said thanks, but anytime, sis, we always here. Q&A, and we happy to dialogue with you, and we thank you for your question. Hope you enjoy the rest of the Sabbath. Okay, Water of Life, what's up? Peace. If a couple is planning to get married, all these marriage questions. If a couple is planning to get married, I mean, all these Brother Obadiah had a marriage question. Right. Roe had a marriage question. Now Water of Life got a marriage question. When something's in the water, what's going on? Water of Life, is something in the water? You tell me. Well, I'm just kidding, y'all. Peace. If a couple is planning to get married in the near future, is it okay if they lie together beforehand, or would that be counted as fornication? Okay, let's take a look at it. Let's go back to Exodus. That is a good question, but it's an obvious answer. The Lord has a solution for it, though. That's the only thing. But it's no point if you know this. If you know what to do beforehand, you should just do it. Because it's better to marry than to what?
Burn.
It's better to marry than to what?
Burn.
It's better to marry than to burn. Hey, yo, Ro. Ro, what's going on with these marriage questions, Ro? What's happening? Man, it must be something in the air I don't know about. Man. But yeah, so let's go back to Exodus. And let's take a look. Let's see what the book say. Let's see what the good book says. So I'm in Exodus
22:16.
I'm in Exodus 22, yep. And we can pick that up. Yeah, exactly right. We can pick that up at 16. Go ahead, bro.
And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed.
Okay, so y'all are not betrothed. So that means that she has not been given, or she has not agreed to marry someone else. So like that, that old Drake song, I'm single, or that Wayne song, I'm single. They single, right? If a man entices a maid that is not betrothed, because if he entices a maid that is betrothed, what is that? That's adultery.
Right.
So a man, should be looking for a single woman, not a woman that's involved with another man, period. Go ahead.
And if a man...
Actually, a couple planning to get married in the near future is betrothed. Just to make that plain, to go back to her question. Go ahead.
And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her.
Okay, he laid with her.
He shall surely endow her to be his wife.
Okay, why should he surely endow her to be his wife? Is because if you did not endow her to be your wife, you're committing fornication. Fornication is a deadly sin. One of the deadliest sins. To the point where we go to Numbers, the Lord killed about 24,000 people in the plague due to fornication. That's why he tells you this. Let's read 1 Corinthians 10. And we can come back. We might be able to come back. Dang, where does fly come from?
I know, right?
Dang. 1 Corinthians 10. Let's go. Nose itching. 1 Corinthians 10. That was back good? Bro, what is going on right now?
Yeah, that's why I shut the door. I heard somebody.
Yeah, I heard it too, yeah. All right. I'm going. All right. 1 Corinthians. I said 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 1 Corinthians 10. Pick it up after. Pick it up at verse 5. Go ahead.
But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things were our examples to the intent we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted.
Oh, so lusting is what causes fornication. Lusting is what causes you to entice a woman. Lust will cause a woman to entice a man. Mm-hmm. Lust will cause adultery. And that is a result of covetousness that happens, that starts in the mind. Okay? Oh, it must be cleaning out that closet. Okay, go ahead.
Neither be ye idolaters, that were some of them, as it is written. The people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play.
Man, every Sunday, that's exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
Because that's what they did back in the land. You worshiping a false idol, a golden calf. You acting like it's God, and you just rising up to dance and sing. This is Sunday church. We just read it because we've never changed.
Yep.
That's why we do it the best.
Yeah.
Have the most revivals, right? In church the longest, but I digress. We talking about fornication. Verse 8.
Neither let us commit fornication.
Wow.
As some of them committed and fell in one day 23,000.
Wow. So what is the solution to fornication? What do we need to do as far as fornication is concerned? Skip down, because he's telling us not to do it, right? Skip down. I'm looking for the verse. Oh, maybe it's another verse. I'm looking for another verse. This is how important it is. I'm looking for another verse, but you see right there how deadly it is, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 6, a couple verses back. And what does verse? This is what I want. Go to 14. Hit 14. Go ahead.
And God had both raised up the Lord.
Nope. Verse 13. Go ahead.
Meats for the belly and belly for the meats. But God shall destroy both it and them. Now the body is not for fornication.
The body is not for what?
Not for fornication.
Oh, the body is not for fornication. That's why it says it's better to marry than to what?
Burn.
We just read it. In the next chapter over, actually. 1 Corinthians 7. We just read that earlier. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
But for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. And God hath both raised up the Lord, and will also raise up us by his own power.
Man, told you the whole purpose is to become God. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of an harlot?
The members of a harlot?
God forbid.
God forbid.
What? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit.
Because you're supposed to be one with your wife. Because that blood, that ties, you know, the blood, when you enter into your woman, that blood, that seals the deal for the covenant, and you two become one. That's why he said, we're going to go back to Exodus 22. Right? Because you're supposed to become one with that woman. That's why he said Exodus 22, because the body's not for fornication. Go ahead.
Flee fornication.
Flee fornication. You're not supposed to do it, period. So if you're hearing this and if you know better, why would you take that risk? Why do that? Why do that? Why don't you all just make the agreement solid and then you're going to realize this. Let's go over to Hebrews. Flee fornication. Finish that out.
Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body.
You sinneth against your own body. And in Proverbs it said a whore is a deep ditch.
Yep.
Now, this is what you want to do. This is what you want to do. Hebrews 13. You want to do the honorable thing. You want to be like Spike Lee and do the right thing. That's what you want to do. Let's see what the honorable right thing to do is. Hebrews 13 and verse 4. Go ahead.
Marriage is honorable in all.
Marriage is honorable in all. So do the right thing. Do the right thing first. Because what if you guys lay down and you like, oh, you know, somebody starts to get a worldly mindset and be like, oh, well, you know, we engaged. You know, that's how the world think. We engaged, been engaged for 3 years, end up not marrying each other. Right? End up with somebody else after the engagement celebration and everything. End up with somebody else. Or end up like 50% of the country divorced. Nah, marriage is serious and it's honorable. Marriage is honorable in all. What else?
And the bed undefiled.
The bed's undefiled. So you don't have to worry about fornication. Yep. You're supposed to flee fornication. The body's not made for fornication. You know how you prevent fornication? Get married. Get married. If y'all already talking about it, just get married. Yeah. Get married if that's what y'all want to do. And then you don't have to even worry about fornication. Why? Because marriage is honorable in all and the bed undefiled. But what though? This is why he said the body's not meant for fornication. Go ahead.
But whoremongers and adulterers,
wow,
God will judge.
Do you want God to judge you? Do you want God to judge you? This was a fail-safe. Let's go back to Exodus 22 and show you again. This was a fail-safe. This was the Lord's grace because he knew people would jump the gun. Right. He was putting this in place so you wouldn't be charged with fornication because God's going to judge that. He was looking out. This shouldn't be the norm though.
Right. Today,
this is the norm. And they knock boots and you never see them again. Let alone endow anybody. You're not talking to nobody's father about nothing. You don't even want to meet their father. Right?
Even then.
You don't even want to meet her again. That's how guys be. They be like Amnon and Tamar. Where like the hate that he had for her after he raped her was greater than the love that he had for her at first. That's how cats be. Soon as they done. One and done. And now, like Jay-Z said, ladies is pimps too. So now that's what the women on.
Yep.
They don't want no man. But they want to feel good though.
Right.
Exodus 22. And pick it up at verse. This fly must be trying to get the word or something.
Must be.
Pick it up at verse 16. Go ahead.
And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
He shall surely endow. Now we should know why. If he lies with a woman that's not married or not engaged or betrothed, it says surely.
Yeah, surely.
Do you know how much fornication that would cut? If that law was enforced,
man.
If at every hotel,
right,
as soon as you leave out the hotel room, surely sign here.
Right.
You two are stuck. Oh, what did you say? You don't know her name? Sign here. Welcome to the club. If that was enforced on some serious stuff, like the Lord's not playing when he says surely.
True.
Because you know what the consequence is if you don't. Fornication, that is a deadly sin. That's what we're showing you. It's not no joke. He shall surely endow her to be his wife. Because guess what? If you don't do that, you fornicating. So why risk the fornication? Why not just do the honorable thing, get married, and then the bedroom's undefiled? That's my advice to you, Water of Life. That is my advice. Sister Key, peace, family, blessed Sabbath. Sure. Blessed Sabbath. So let me try to open up Facebook, see if we got anything. If not, we're going to close out. I hope everybody's having a good Sabbath though, for sure. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's up? Sister Sarah, what's good? Oh, hey, Jamia said something. Okay. Oh, are you having a conversation with Jamia?
I think they was. That's what I had.
Oh, y'all was having a conversation.
Yeah. I think it was on what Obadiah was.
This was back when. Nah, this was 38 minutes ago.
No, I'm talking about they probably was chiming in on it.
But it was, no, but she's saying bro. She said, look at this bro. What's up, Sister Sarah? You still there? Oh, we can look at 1 Corinthians 7. Let's go back to 1 Corinthians 7.
That's what made me think they was talking about what Obadiah was going on.
Right. But I don't see Jamia's comments for some reason. I just see Sister Sarah's. But yeah, hope that helped. Water of life. Hope that helps. And if you can't contain, then get married, because it's better to marry than to what?
Burn.
I'm saying it the whole day. The whole evening. Where we going? 1 Corinthians 7. Right. So, Sister Sarah said, if God is not saying it, do we abide by what is said after that? Let's take a look. Can you read that, bro? Can you start at verse 10 or something?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Oh, I see Sister Jamia said not yet. What's up, Sister Jamia? Happy Sabbath to both of you, my sisters. 1 Corinthians 7, go ahead.
10, and unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. But and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife.
Right. So this is what the Lord is saying. Now, verse 12, go ahead.
But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
Right. So that part, verse 12, Paul, you got to remember, he's just letting you know that this isn't what we've read, because not every situation was always covered, right? Not every situation was always spelled out. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord used Paul to intervene for things that might have been unclear. So this is his judgment. You got to remember, this is judgment. And that the spirit of judgment, the spirit of discernment, that comes from the Lord anyway. That comes from the Lord anyway. So yes, you should take good heed to what he's saying right here, because we know it makes sense. We know it makes sense. And we proved that. If you go back earlier, I proved that, which is connected all the way down to verse 15.
Right.
I proved that that's the case going back to Matthew 10. Right. And that came from the Lord. So it still matches. It still matches, because Paul had the spirit of discernment on him. He was a minister of the Lord. Okay, so I hope that helps with that. This is good advice right here, right? But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. You want me to give you an example of somebody who's judging a situation with discernment? Let's go back to the law and show you that's how they got down. Let me show you where that came from. Deuteronomy 17, I believe. Deuteronomy 17, I believe. And look how hard the Lord is saying. Look how tough this is. Look how tough this is. All right, pick it up at verse 8. Because what did I just say? It sometimes matters that we're not covered, right? Now peep it. Peep it. Verse 8. Let's look at it. Go ahead.
If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment.
Oh, too hard for you in judgment, or something that hasn't come up before, something you haven't covered before. What do? Go ahead.
Between blood and blood.
Uh-oh, that means even between death. These are hard situations. Let alone marriage can get hard. We know that, right? Go ahead.
Between plea and plea.
Yes.
Between stroke and stroke.
Man, even fighting. Go ahead.
Being matters of controversy.
Oh, so what was that? What we just read about in 1 Corinthians 7. That was a matter of controversy. Mm-hmm. You got a believer and a non-believer. The believing should not be equally yoked with the non-believer. Therefore, that's a matter of controversy. So what are we supposed to do? Go ahead.
Then shalt thou arise and get thee up into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt come unto the priest, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days.
Oh, wow.
And inquire.
And inquire. And this is what Paul was giving out. Judgment, discernment. For people who were inquiring about a situation. Who was inquiring in this case? The Corinthians. This was his response back to them. So obviously they inquired of him, just like this situation right here. Go ahead.
And they shall show thee the sentence of judgment.
Oh, that's what it is. And how is the Lord looking at this? Go ahead.
And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they of that place which the Lord shall choose shall show thee, and thou shalt observe to do according to all that they inform thee. So in this case, that they would be Paul. Right.
That them that was letting you know, that person was Paul. So when he says don't get that mistaken. This is discernment, this is judgment. The Lord chose him for that. Or else it wouldn't be in the Holy Bible.
That's what I was thinking.
Go ahead.
According to the sentence of the law which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they should tell thee.
Oh, wasn't that judgment? What we just read? He was giving you judgment, a piece of his mind. Not in a foolish way, but in a righteous way. Go ahead.
Thou should do. Thou should not decline from the sentence which they shall show thee.
Oh, so what do you think you should do? I think you should do it. I think that's good wisdom and good judgment to go by. Go ahead.
To the right hand nor to the left.
Oh, that means you should do it to the T. And he's saying to follow that judgment just like you would follow his commandments. Because don't he say that about his commandments? Don't go to the right or to the left?
Exactly that.
So that means it's on this level if it's coming from a righteous man with the Spirit of God. So that's how I look at that, Sister Sarah. All right. And we do not have any more. I hope that helped. But don't just believe any brother who come up and say, now I didn't say it, but I think. Don't do that, because that's why we already have this. Right. We already have this for that. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that helped. And I don't know why the comments that was just on here deleted. This has been happening for a minute now. Yep. Yeah, that's what I mean. It says, she said, what if the husband divorces his wife? He gives her a bill of divorcement. Can she remarry? Well, can she remarry? It tells you. Let's see what the law says. Deuteronomy 24. Let's see what the law says about that. Deuteronomy 24, verse 1. Jamia, we in Deuteronomy 24. And let's see what it says. Go ahead.
Would a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement.
Let him write her a what?
A bill of divorcement.
Okay, go ahead.
And give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
And send her out of his house. Now, we read in the law. That's all we doing. Okay, go ahead.
And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
That's what the bill of divorcement was for. It was to protect, it was women's rights. Remember, we just talked about men's rights. Now we're talking about women's rights. This was, a woman doesn't have a right to divorce, but she has a right to the bill of divorcement. As we read right here, so she could be protected and move on. So she wasn't just out here in limbo. You know what I'm saying? But really, you know, that's what we read. Go ahead, keep reading.
And if the latter husband hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife.
So she can't go back. She can't go back. You know, that's the Lord says that's filthy. That's you defiling, right? Because you was with another man, right? We see right here that the bill of divorce was not given by the woman, it was given to the woman. And then the woman was put out of that house, right? And then she would have the right to be another man's wife. But you don't even want to go down that route unless it's really like it's life threatening. You don't even want to think about divorce for real unless it's like life threatening, because that's why the men received that's why the men received the commandment to give the women a bill of divorce for the hardness of their hearts, right? So let's look at it. Let's go to Matthew and let's take a look at it. And Matthew 5. Matthew 5 and Matthew 19 is where we see him. We can start in Matthew 19. Yep. So let's start at verse 1. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee, came into the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
Right. So now we're talking about putting away his wife for every cause. Is it lawful? And they're tempting him, so they're trying to trip him up. Go ahead.
And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
And we already read about that in 1 Corinthians 6. And we know that was back in Genesis 1 and 27. The woman was made out of the rib of man, showing you the importance of them being one, on one accord, one going back to being one flesh, the completion of one flesh. Go ahead.
And said, For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
So that's that sacred bond. It don't say you're supposed to be in mama's basement, right? If you thinking about marriage, this is what it's saying. Go ahead.
Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh.
They're one flesh. Just like, why would you sleep with a harlot? We just read that. Go ahead.
What therefore God have joined together, let no man put asunder.
Let no man put asunder. So y'all not supposed to split. You know what I'm saying? Divorce really shouldn't be the case. You know what I'm saying? But he gave the bill of divorcement for a reason. Let's see what that reason is. Go ahead.
They said unto him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement?
A writing of divorcement, and to do what?
And to put her away.
Oh, so it says a writing of divorcement and to put her away. Why?
He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so.
The beginning it was not so. So the divorce, putting away and divorce and all of that shouldn't even be on the table, because from the beginning it was not so. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you going through some life-threatening situations, right? But it really has to be real stuff, you know, then that's when this came into play, and the Lord's explaining that. Right? He understands that things happen. Even back then, things happen. If things could happen back then, things could happen now. But we know the norm is from the beginning, it was not so. And that's why 1 Corinthians 7 says, even if the believer, is pleased to dwell with the unbeliever, let them stay married. Let them stay married. So hopefully, that's just what the book says. So hopefully that helps. And hopefully, everybody's straight. It looks like it just got dark. And looks like we don't have any more questions. So it looks like we're going to close out. All right.
Yes.
Peace, everybody.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come.
thy will be done in earth
Thy will be done in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory forever.
and the glory forever.
In Jesus' mighty name,
In Jesus' mighty name.
amen.
Amen, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, man, good
Another
stuff.
one down,
Another
bro.
one down. You
You know
know
what I'm
that
saying?
already. Yes, sir. Good stuff.
Indeed.
Yeah, man. Praise the Lord. Oh, yeah, Mimi, that's how you feel?
Oh, she just said it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.